coming up to the top of the hill here, there's a little crest there, but you don't get airborne. And then this is called Stylstrecke. There's actually a road, and you can see it on your map, that goes straight up the hill. And it's one of those development roads that they use like a hill climb thing. And it's extremely steep, and I don't know if it's actually been open since 1927. No one ever uses it, as far as I know. It was put in there to develop cars on back in the 20s, and nobody uses it because if we used it, we wouldn't get to drive through the carousel. And so you make a 180-degree turn here. There's a little bit of a bend as you go into the carousel here, but you kind of just straight line through the curves, and it lines you up with the carousel. The carousel is a fun corner to drive, but it's extremely bumpy. I believe the concrete is the original concrete from 1927. It was actually put in as part of a drainage control. The original corner was actually to drive up on the flat, up on the outside of the corner. And then one of the Grand Prix drivers in the 30s or something said, "No, when I drop a wheel down there, I'll go a little faster," and kept dropping the wheels, and they eventually put the whole car down there. Now everybody drives the whole car down there. The only thing to really look out with in the carousel, because it is a fairly slow corner, and he's only doing 50 miles an hour, is you got to make sure you stay on the banking. Because at 50 miles an hour, the car will set into the banking, you'll be all compressed into the springs. If you let the car, if you try and use too much throttle too early and the car spits you out, if it spits you off the banking, you're going to hit the guardrail because you don't have the grip on the flat that you do on the banking. And it is banked about like that. It's a ridiculous amount of banking. But you get through that, and then this leads you up to probably my favorite part of the track is from there until the straightaway. You're climbing up the high 8 here. The curves are really steep, and you're just kind of dodging from curve to curve all the way to the high 8, and it just flows. It's a great flowing part of the track. That's the highest point on the track, and now you start working yourself down. This is next corner is called Whipperman, or the next section is called Whipperman. Whipperman is a place where you can use a lot of curve. Merrow doesn't use the curve here, and he uses a little bit of the curve there. He could have picked up a few tenths if he'd used more curve there. That leads you down into, I think that's Eschbach, and then down here into Brunchen. And Brunchen is where everybody and their brother comes to watch. You can see as you come down the hill here, there's a big parking lot up here. The picture of the Cadillac SRX was taken there at Brunchen. That's where, if you see spy photos from the Nurburgring, they're all taken right here. Because the road pulls right up to it, anybody and their brother can come watch. Fairly fast corners, and it's slick. It's slick in the dry, it's even worse in the wet. Exiting out of there, this is what they would call the ice curve, and this is the curve. It just basically never dries out. It takes forever in the day to dry out. But it leads you onto the two jumps at Flansgarten. Get the car straight here, kind of middle of the track, and that there is the first jump at Flansgarten. Big double apex corner. It'll wind you around, and then this, right about there, is the second jump at Flansgarten. Merrow, he squares this off a little bit, and that may be more due to the vehicle he's got than due to driving line. It's the speed he's carrying there, you might need to square the corner more than you do in a slow car. But in a fast car, if you really want to be fast, you let the car basically track all the way out when it's landing and settling down. And you'll see it takes him a little while to settle down. And then this section is just fantastic. It's undulating, left, right, you're bouncing from side to side of the track. You need a lot of damping in a car through here. This leads into what they call Schwalbenschwanz, and it's a couple of corners here. The second part of it is, and Merrow makes a big mistake there and then waves at the crowd. And then this is what they call the climate carousel. It's the second carousel there. It'll also kind of spit you out, but it's not banked as much, and it is a lot slower than the first carousel, so there's not much to worry about. This corner is right here. You can see where the little red spot is. It's called Dodinger Hole. It's Dodinger Height or something like that. It leads onto this straightaway, which is well over a mile in length. So this corner makes a huge difference to your lap time. In the Turbo Solstice, because it's a turbo car, what I finally was able to get up to when I was driving the car there is from the climate carousel, I would go to wide open throttle, and I wouldn't lift until I got to here. And what I would do getting in there, because a turbo car, you don't want to lift because it dumps the wastegate, so I would stay wide open throttle and do right about here, do a little squeeze of left foot brake just to set the nose of the car, keep it up on the boost. And then the car, you get the first apex, it runs wide, and then it took another, just a fraction of a squeeze on the brake right about there to get the point again. And from that point on, it's just a drag race. The Turbo Solstice was going, I believe, 140 on this stretch. We were concerned about the convertible top was billowing up so much that we actually got duct tape and strapped over the top and over the frame of the thing, because early on in development they actually had some cars that ripped the canvas top off of, and we strapped the top down. We were judging how much as we started. When we started, you know, I would drive down the straightaway at 140, and I'd reach up and I'd stick my fingers between the roof globe and the top. And when we started, it was a 2-finger. You know, I could get 2 fingers in between there. And after 3 or 4 days of driving, I could actually put 4 fingers in there. So we knew we were stretching the top, and that's when we got concerned, so we strapped it down. We did run one session with the Turbo Solstice where we took the top down, and we were about, I want to say 7 or 8 miles per hour slower on this straightaway with the top down than we were with the top up. It made a huge difference. But Mero does a really good job here. He must have had some coaching from a local, because the key on here is you almost always get a crosswind. And so the trick is, even though the next corner you want to be on the right side of the track when you get up here, the next corner you want to stay as close as you can to this edge of the track, because the trees and the guardrail guard you from the wind, and the car will be faster. And it's all about speed here. So you can see he gets up to this spot right here on the side of the track is the public access. That's where the public will come in when they run during public access time. Then he moves the car over. This is Antonius Buca. It's basically just a high-speed kink. It's really actually quite easy to drive. He's doing 177 miles an hour. And then the car dives down here is a tear garden. And you swear when you're at this point that the car is never going to stop. You're going too fast, you're going to die. Because all you can see in front of you is guardrail, 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 all placed at different lengths in front of you. And so when you come into Tiergarten, it's all about, okay, I just got to get this thing wound down. And from there, you're just hard on the brakes. And you can see how quickly he's bleeding speed all the way through here. Down from 170 down to, what, 55? And then that's the last corner, and that's where they click the watch, in that last corner. That's a lap of the Nurburgring. And when I did the driver training there, it was basically a week's worth of driver training that they make you take before you're allowed to run the industry pool. And the guy, your instructor, who was actually a pretty accomplished race car driver, told us, said, at the end of the instruction, he got our little certificates and handed us stuff, and he goes, now you are ready to begin learning the Nurburgring. And for the people who go there and who drive it all the time, the ring taxis, if you've ever heard of those, the BMW runs basically professional race car drivers. You give them 50 euros and they'll drive you around the Nurburgring at speed. And they're fantastic, and they are so fast. You know, I have no desire to